Oftentimes when we are in the thick of life, we rarely slow down and pay attention to what our inner voice is telling us. That's where meditation teacher Ben Katt found himself, and his journey is part of his new book, The Way Home, Discovering the Hero's Journey to Wholeness at Midlife. Hello, Ben.
Hi, Kelly. So good to be here.
Yes, so good to have you. So tell us about how this personal journey kind of started and brought you to wanting to write this book.
So a number of years ago, about 10 years ago, was living in Seattle at the time. It was a rainy morning. I had just run around Green Lake, was charging up a hill towards my house, and I just stopped in my tracks because this voice welled up within me. And the words were, "If you don't have your heart, you have nothing."
Wow.
And I went home and it just was like I knew right away, at least it was burnout. And then as I started to peel back the layers, there was this sense of just the way that I was moving through the world wasn't serving me anymore, and I needed to find a new way to get my heart back.
Wow, and what do you mean by getting your heart back? You reference that a lot in the book.
Yeah, so what I would say is there's lots of different ways to talk about it. Different traditions have different ways to speak of it, but there's a sense of coming home to yourself, or connecting with your true self, to that part of you that is most authentic and alive.
I love that so much. And would you say that the second part of your life, or midlife, is when this happens for people?
Yeah, so I think it's very common that this change will happen at midlife in terms of like an age range, say 35 to 55, though that is kind of moves. And part of that is you've accumulated enough life experience and you've been functioning with certain operating patterns, and at some point you just kind of realize this doesn't work anymore, and maybe there's more for me and there's a different way I want to move through the world. But in reality, and as I talk about in the book, this kind of midlife really refers to, it's for anyone who is at a transition point in their life between who they've been and who they're becoming.
Oh my gosh, I love this so much. I feel like I'm in this process right now. And you talk about a 3-step process to stop prioritizing others and start really, looking in with yourself. So speak on those 3 tips.
Yeah. So as I got beneath the burnout, what I discovered was the way I was moving through the world was I was obsessed with achievement, perfection, and performing to please others. And I just was in a state where I was like wide open, trying to listen to the universe. And one day, I got to give credit to actually a 1950s or 1960s Jaguar automobile ad. Sounds kind of weird.
Oh.
Mad Men era automobile ad I came across at just the right time, and the motto was grace, space, pace. And right when I heard those words, it spoke to something deep in me, and I realized, wow, I really need to, these could be really helpful, a really helpful foundation for practices I could have in order to go on this journey.
Oh my gosh, I love that. I feel like I need to write that down. And this quest was a very spiritual one for you. You talk about animals, and the car too, but an actual jaguar. And you also talk about, there's a chapter where you talk about a cactus. Talk about that spiritual journey for people.
Yeah, so the cactus shows up a few times, and a bit of the backstory is just for anyone listening, a lot of spiritual traditions, wisdom traditions have these mystical stories, okay, that people have experienced certain things with nature. Alongside that, it's also helpful to know that the latest brain science actually says that our brains are wired for this sort of spiritual meaning making of the world. So with that as the backdrop, I'll just say I was out in the desert and had this encounter with a cactus where I would say, it's hard to put into words, but I would say it was this conversation. And at the end of the day, it was telling me its particular story, which was a story of being stabbed and shot. And there's something of that was symbolic for not only my own pain, but really the pain of the world in which we live. And yes, it ended up calling me to come close, to take my clothes off and also hug it. So it's a little out there, but it was a powerful experience for me.
Wow. And do you think then people should just lean in a little more, or listen and slow down to have these kind of moments? Or what are some tips to, tell people if they're feeling a little burnt out?
Yeah, so I think, listening, journaling, the practice of solitude, yoga, wandering in the woods, all of these things. But there's really a sense of coming with playfulness and imagination, because these kinds of encounters with what's real, with our true self, with nature, this isn't just for hermits hiding out in a cave. This is for everyday people. And what's really important is once we start to slow down and open up to it, inevitably we will start to get the signs and hear the messages that we need in order to step forward in our own particular story.
I love that so much, Ben. And I want to talk about, what do you think, or what is your hope, I guess, for people's takeaway to be when they read this book?
Well, you don't have to look far to see that there's so much struggle and like conflict in our world right now. And so while the inroad here is a profoundly personal journey to discover who you are, the implications of this is that you come home to yourself and then you find a way to participate more fully in bringing healing and renewal to the world. So I hope it brings people back to life, and when people come back to life, we can start to see our communities and our society transformed.
Wow, Ben, this is such an interesting read, absolutely fascinating. Thank you for sharing so much of your personal journey today here with us, and I hope people will obviously take time to read your book.
Thanks so much, and thanks for asking about the cactus.
Oh my gosh, we had to. I mean, there was that moment there with the cactus. The naked cactus, the hug. I mean, you guys, that's a tease. So thank you again, Ben. And Ben will be celebrating the launch of his debut book, The Way Home, tonight at Third Place Books at Seward Park at 7 o'clock tonight.